Brought to you by Itel series.
I'm going to go bold. You asked me to go bold. I'm not going to pick a coach.
Proper opener and a skipper in general.
Somewhere along the line they've scored runs, which is crucial runs and crunch runs.
He leads from the front, he's easy going behind the stumps, he's calm, he's collective, and one of the best finishers game I've seen.
My two top picks are going to be...
I've gone with...
I'm only picking...
These two are my openers.
"16 years is a lifetime. 16 years is worth celebrating, and on a very special day, right here on Star Sports, we are going to assemble the incredible team of the IPL. February 20 marks 16 years of the very first auction, a day that changed the face of our sport as we know it, and we have put together a serious panel to pick the 15 best players and the standout coach from 16 years of the league we all so love. The great Wasim Akram is with us. He is going to be part of this panel. He knew what the IPL was like in its early days, and we shouldn't be forgetting those important early years. What a new ball pair we've got. Left arm swing on one end, right arm swing on the other. They didn't quite enjoy bowling at the death, these two, but that's because no one was around back then in 50-over cricket. They got rid of the top order. Tom Moody knows a thing or two of picking an IPL winning squad. The former Sunrisers title winning coach is going to be with us, and if Moody knows how to do it as coach, Hayden knows how to do it as a player. So this is my 4 overseas done and dusted, so my job is nice and easy. But Tom, I must start with you. You know the IPL like few others. You follow it till date. It's always hard picking these all-time great teams, isn't it?
Oh, look, it's very, very difficult, and it's obviously a privilege to be a part of this selection panel. But you're always going to disappoint someone because there's been so many great players that have passed through those 16 years of the IPL history, and I'm sure there'll be a few celebrated names, but there'll be a few disappointed ones.
Well, and you know how to make tough calls, right? You've had to do that for a living for very many years. Wasim, 16 years means you've almost seen 2 or 3 different generations of players, haven't you? From the ones that started in 2008-9, and we're seeing a completely new bunch of players. We're excited to watch them in the upcoming IPL on Star. How do you cast judgment on such a different group of players when you have to make these all-time teams?
I agree with Tom, and I think my other fellow, panelists also will agree that it is difficult to pick 15 out of 16 years. So many great players, and came and left, and new players are coming up, new superstars are coming up. And I remember IPL first auction in 2008, and I think India was touring Australia, and I was working with Star. I was in Australia. The whole Indian team, the whole Indian media, the commentators, everybody was so excited because it was something new and something different that never heard of. And look at IPL now. It is just changed the face of cricket, not just in India, all over the world.
Yeah, as we talk to 2 players who've actually played this league for so many years, you know how the drill works, Dale Steyn, don't you? You need a strong top order, you need a core group of Indians, you need all-rounders, and you need fast bowlers and a wrist spinner. So those are the categories we'll cover in a bit. But if I ask you at the top of your head, what's the hardest category, or what's the one category you're looking forward to sinking your hands into on picking this incredible team?
Oh, wow. That's a tough one. I think all the categories are pretty tough to pick from. Even some of the spinners, I think some of the latest spinners that are playing are some of the leading wicket takers ever in the history of the IPL. But yeah, there's many a contender. It's not an easy panel of players to pick from. And lately, of the last 2 years, I'm starting to get my coaching hat on more than my playing hat. I'm starting to realize why I may have been left out of 1 or 2 teams in the past, because I've realized the juggle of how you manage teams and who you pick to kind of help another player or help the team situation, and if I can say that, be stronger. It makes it very, very difficult. But I'm looking forward to getting down to the quicks and talking about the fast bowlers. It's one of my favorite strengths, so I can't wait for that.
Excellent, excellent. We have a category and we have a qualification for each category, and that's how we've created a short list that we had journalists from all across the globe, as well as you, our fans, our very special fans, weigh in on, and our experts will now decide this. Now, there's a criteria for it, and that is the only reason that the great Matthew Hayden, an Orange Cap winner himself, one of the most recognizable faces in the tournament, is not eligible to be part of our openers category. And Haydos, that's the only reason. Otherwise, you'd be the first pick in my team.
I just wanted to say to Dale Steyn that the older you get, my friend, the more hats you wear. I noticed you got your favourite in the backdrop of your frames. But absolutely, it's it's been as Mood said, it's a great pleasure, to be a part of the IPL and Waz as well. It's something that we've nurtured together, right back to where this first sort of started to really cement into the Indian psychic in terms of cricket, dating back to the first T20 trophy that they won on your home soil, Stoney, over there in South Africa, and that really kind of catapulted the conversation away from the traditional formats and launched the IPL as we know it. And from an Australian perspective, if you remember the context of it, it was just after the Monkeygate scandal as well in Australia. So, from an Australian perspective, it was really important to consolidate relationships at that time. And as it turned out, pretty much all the players, from an Australian perspective, were within a number of months in a franchise, probably confronting all the demons that we'd struck, through playing an international schedule. And I'm sure we can all agree that the game itself has benefited tremendously in terms of launching the new phenomenon, which is, of course, franchise-based cricket, private ownership, in collaboration with boards across Australia. So that creates a really dynamic investment opportunity, but also the dynamic relationships from country to country with private owners, and what the influence of that made changed the landscape of how we actually, have reviewed cricket. And that's why I'm excited to be a part of this selection process, because we've got some crackerjack names on the table.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point you make. We don't even remember those times where you were an annoying opposition player from Australia, Haydos. You're one of us now, effectively, aren't you? I can see you more in the yellow of the Super Kings than I can of Australia. But that is what the IPL has done over time. And now, for what we are here, let me remind our panel and all of you that we are going to be picking our matchday squad, our incredible team from the last 16 years. It's going to be a squad of 15 where we're going to have a playing 11, which can only, as you know, have up to 4 overseas players. It's the time and day of the impact sub, so you can pick a squad of 15. You can have up to 2 overseas in the overall 15, and we'll also pick a head coach towards the end. Now, gents, I want a consensus from you lot when you decide on a player, and only then will that player get the final stamp and make it to the team. That's when my hammer goes down. If you wish to reserve a player judgment on that player, we can come back to him later, in case you want to go through the rest of the team and then look at how you stand on that player. And in case there is a deadlock, I don't see the 4 of you disagreeing on much. You all seem to get along fine. But just in case we enter deadlock territory, we're going to have some astute cricketing minds from around the world to help you out, because we've got journalists supporting us, those that have covered the game so impressively over so many years. So, simple as that. Are we all set? And I think we are going to start right at the top, because the openers, well, that's the best way to open up. Matthew Hayden's territory this, and everyone wants a solid opening pair at the top. Let's have a look at our contenders. And the obvious names that pop up there, the great David Warner, what a giant he's been. Chris Gayle, perhaps T20 cricket's biggest boss, the universe boss. And how do we ignore what Virat Kohli has achieved at the top for RCB over very many years? And Rohit Sharma. Interestingly, debate tends to spark when it comes to Rohit Sharma in the IPL versus what kind of player that he is. Let's just get straight to it as your openers. Matthew Hayden, you can take this one first up.
Yeah, thank you. Look, for mine, it is a difficult choice because we've got a number of contenders, 2 of which are going to be Indian contenders and 2 of which are going to be overseas contenders. So for mine, my 2 top picks are going to be David Warner and Chris Gayle, the universe boss. Those 2 guys catapulted as we know it, modern day T20 cricket as an opening batsman. They both huge boundary hitters. In particular, Chris Gale. Davey Warner's a bit more of a workman, tradesman-like batsman, but I've gone for those two names controversially, potentially, around the other two names, which are Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma. I see them as having different roles in this 11, but first and foremost, Chris Gale and Davey Warner.
Okay, good luck finding a ticket to get here for the IPL Lados. You've picked neither Kohli nor Rohit. I'm going to come to the rest of the panel before that. Now remember, guys, if you pick two overseas openers at the top, that limits how many you can pick in the rest. And we've got all-rounders, we've got fast bowlers, we've got wrist spinners. You know what we're talking about. So Tom Moody, give me your openers.
Yeah, that's the challenge, Ronak, is the overseas balance on this side. Because if you're picking it purely on the best players and the overseas players, there wasn't a limit. In my view, both Gale and Warner would be your opening pair because they are clearly by far the best openers the IPL's ever seen. But because I'm looking for overseas balance, which we'll share with you as we go down this journey, I'm only picking Gale at the top because he is the Bradman of T20 cricket. He's so far ahead statistically than any other player that's played the game, and I find it difficult to see someone ever catching what he's achieved. Joining him at the top of the order would be Virat Kohli.
Okay, so Gale and Kohli is Tom Moody's pick. Interesting this. Let's go to Dale Steyn, of course, who played with David Warner, who also knows what it's like bowling to Chris Gale. One Indian, one overseas. Dale, how do you balance this out?
Yeah, I mean, there's many ways to skin a cat and many ways to pick a team. And I think everyone's right. You got to kind of like balance your overseas with your local players, which is the most important. I feel your local players need to be your best players. And then you throw in your spice of your overseas. I've gone with Warner and Rohit. I feel both of them are just one thing that I've also based this team on, and my opinion is that most of my players are players that have gone on to win the IPL because I'm picking the IPL's greatest ever players. So there's one or two players that potentially could have made these spots, but they haven't won the IPL. So although they might be a wonderful great, they haven't won it yet. They haven't gone the full dance. So I'm going with two guys that have lifted the trophy before. And then you can see the rest of the guys that I've picked on later. But yeah, many a man that could have done the spot, but I've gone with Warner and Rohit for now.
So you've gone Warner and Rohit. Let me just clarify that. Warner and Rohit because of their success as a team, right, Dale?
Well, both as success as players. Obviously,
yes,
they've been around for a very long time. But also, somewhere along the line, they've scored runs, which is crucial runs and crunch runs to get their team over the line in terms of playoffs and finals. So yeah, that's why they would probably just tip some other guys that have been phenomenal run scorers, but maybe haven't gotten there.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. This is a great time to come to Wasim Akram right now. On the one hand, you have Gale and Kohli, who have been giants of the game, Wasim. But in Dale's point, rightly so, their team has never won the IPL. On the other hand, you have David Warner, who has been a captain who's taken them to victory and a solid top-order batter. Rohit Sharma's IPL numbers are not as impressive as the other three I just mentioned, yet he's one of the most successful captains. What is your pick? I'm very curious to hear.
You know what's important, also important in T20 format, in fact any format, most importantly in T20 format, is fielding too. And player like Warner, in my opinion, if you remember the World Cup final just recently, that the way he fielded, he saved about 20 plus runs on his own. He's a live wire on the pitch, and I do like players like him. Chris Gale, of course, one of the biggest hitter. His numbers are phenomenal. And all, but he'll be hiding at fine leg. No offense to his talent, a short fine leg. I need fielders. I need team they can field all around, hot spots. All 11 of them, most of them can. So I'll go for Rohit, proper opener and a skipper in general. He won the most IPLs as well, and then of course David Warner. These two are my openers. Okay, Virat Kohli is very much there. His numbers are really good as well, but you do need someone in the middle order. number 3, number 4 are as important as the openers in this format for me.
Okay, so now if I am to do the maths, gents, I hope you guys know what each other, what your total, what the summation of your comments lead to, because I have Gale and Warner from Matthew Hayden over there. I've got Gale and Kohli from Tom Moody over here. I've got Warner and Rohit from Dale Steyn. And Wasim, remind me one more time, you've gone with Warner and Rohit as well, yes?
As well, yes.
Okay, excellent. So that means that's 3 to Warner. So I think Warner can get the stamp. Are we going to be happy with that? And it's going to be an argument between Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli and Chris Gayle. Now, before I throw the floor open to some external input as well from the journals, do any of you, after hearing the other, want to either convince your colleague or go back and maybe reassess what you thought of? Anyone?
Yeah, well, I'd like to start. I mean, we have to look at the entire team when it comes to a batting lineup, and in fact you have to look at the entire way that you project your overseas players, and I'd mount a case if we are going to go up the top with no Chris Gayle, that you put a reserve on him to look at that in the complexity of the 15, because as to Waz's point, you can substitute out now, so if Chris Gayle comes in and smashes 100, then he can sit on the sideline as a sub and get another absolute superstar fielder in that position. Potentially, I'm just saying that can happen. I think at the start you've also got to look at how you build a franchise, because at the end of the day, make no bones about it, franchise cricket is about making money. And you make money on superstars, and not only superstars, but Indian superstars. It is, after all, the Indian Premier League. So for me, Dale, you might like this one. It's the big 5. No, I'm not talking about rhinos, etc. and buffaloes. What I'm talking about, the big 5 in terms of the big names. And to me, that lends weight, to your Kohli, to your Rohit Sharma, to Hardik Pandya. You've got Boom Boom, that's got to be there, and I had one other as well, MS Dhoni, of course, just the one other, MS Dhoni.
So Haydos, come back to where you start me. You're losing me. Tell me who your top 2 are finally now. Who are you finally going to go with?
I've said I'm happy with the top 2 that the boys have picked. In you're going to make a judgment here on Warner and Rohit Sharma. That's the numbers, but I want to put a reserve on my
Gale.
big
Okay.
fella from
that's
Jamaica.
interesting. So if Warner and Rohit, you actually have 2 of you who are clear with Warner and Rohit, and Haydos is reserving his right for Chris Gayle. Tom Moody is the only one who's picked a different combination of Chris Gayle and Virat Kohli. This is where we can open it up for questions that come from our journalists that join us today. This is one of my great dreams, which Ravi Shastri once said, let's live stream selection meetings, let's have the journalists there. I'm sure my great friends from the community in the media would love that option. You've heard what these fine men have said, guys. Surprisingly, I thought there might be a case for no Rohit Sharma in this team because of his IPL record personally as a batter. But here it looks like he's got the vote ahead of even a Virat Kohli. So I'm sure the floor is open to questions.
Can we pick KL Rahul as the opening option? Because he has also done well over the years as an opener.
Yeah, fair point. He's one of the most sought after opening batters in the IPL currently. He's won an orange cap. Any other questions? I'll take a few together to Tom and Dale and Wasim and Haydos. Anybody else?
One.
Yes.
I heard Dale's kind of reasoning for why he picked Rohit Sharma over, say, a Virat Kohli. But Dale, when you pick openers or when you pick players in a team over a span of 16 years, do you kind of go for that winning mentality, or do you go for runs and the impact they've had? Because clearly Rohit and Virat both have similar, almost same kind of strike rates in the IPL. But if you look at the amount of runs they've scored, Virat's kind of way ahead than Rohit Sharma. And in individual teams, there are other players who kind of make up, say, for a loss of runs that Rohit Sharma, the runs that Rohit does not score. But in an incredible team of over 16 years, do you still go for those kind of stuff, or do you look at runs and the impact they've had in picking up players in your 11?
Okay, that's very interesting. It's a good question. Dale, maybe you can take it up from there and we'll come back to the KL Rahul question too. But in an incredible team, do you really need the standout batter, or do you need the standout player on other aspects as well?
Yeah, I think when you're picking an incredible team, maybe the amount of trophies that you've won constitutes X amount of runs extra in your runs that you haven't actually scored. So although Virat Kohli may have outscored Rohit Sharma in terms of runs, Virat's never won an IPL. So that's not to say that he's not in my team. I'm just trying to find space for a man that has been at the IPL from the very start and has won many IPLs before. It would be, for me, it would be an injustice not to pick somebody who's been around the IPL for so long, opened the batting the bulk of his career, won as many IPLs, and then not get considered in the greatest IPL team ever. He's obviously done something to win that amount of trophies. And led his team many times, so I would probably go with him. I'd give him the nod over somebody who's scored more runs than him, but who's never won it.
Okay, that's the answer to Rohit versus Kohli effectively. KL Rahul, Tom Moody, very quickly, worthy of the conversation, but not worthy of the final four in your mind?
I think he's definitely worthy of the conversation, but I don't think he can stack up for one of those opening slots. But maybe, at the end of his journey, because he's still, probably got 30% or more left in his IPL journey, he may be considered when we have a relook at this at the 20th year or the 25th year.
All right. Now, the summation of everything
I'll have
is
less
that
to
David
say,
Warner...
Ronak.
Yes, Haydos, please.
Yeah, I just, look, it comes down to selection philosophy. And I'll have less to say, I can assure you, when it comes to the bowling provisions, because we've got two of the all-time greats sitting right of frame for me. When it comes to opening the batting, and also I'll include the number 3 into that position, I feel that it's a very structured move within T20 cricket. You've got Chris Gayle, that is, numbers are all-time, the best, as Moods alluded to before. You've got Davey Warner, who is a versatile opener that adds great value in the field. And you've got Virat Kohli, who locks in at number 3. But then the rest, 4, 5, 6, 7, even to 8, can become multi-dimensional players, all-rounders, but also they can slide up and down the order. And you could mount a major compelling case for Rohit Sharma at 4. In fact, he's performed best there in the IPL, even though his numbers in terms of his T20 international career and his international career in general haven't been, right on the money. So I'm very structured in terms of those top 3. They are the engine room, so to speak, of your batting lineup, and we just so happen to have the 3 greatest batsmen of all time that could sit into that space comfortably. And that's why I'm determined to convince this panel and our esteemed members of the press to go that way.
Okay, this is very interesting. You've actually thrown in Kohli at 3, which is not where he's batted for a large chunk of his IPL career. But we've got to move on, guys. We've got to pick this squad. So David Warner has more votes than anybody else. He makes it to the incredible team as the first opener. Now you've heard the arguments for Rohit Sharma as well as Chris Gayle and Virat Kohli, who, funny enough, actually has the least amount of votes here. So anybody over here willing to change that? Otherwise, I'm going to go to our friends in the media to decide this. Who partners David Warner? Anybody else? No? Okay.
Well, the reason that I went with Virat Kohli at the top of the order is to the point that you made, Ronak, is that he spent most of his career at the top of the order.
Yes.
Huge run scorer, and I think the left-right hand combination at the top is important also if we're looking at balance of a side. And David Warner is definitely in my all-time 15, but at the moment I can't fit him in the top because I'm looking for balance at 3, 4, 5 and 6.
Okay, fair enough. Right, so this is where we stand.
So Moods, he's batted at number 3 93 times and openers 98 times, so it's very comparable. But in terms of his average, looking at both sides, he's 43 and a bit as an opener, and he's 35 and a bit, with similar strike rates. So he loves that position. I just wonder, that's why I say in the balance of the side, whether we're open to negotiation.
Okay, here's
always
where we need to...
always open for negotiation.
Yeah. You two boys just catch up. You're not far from each other anyway. All right. Summary of this is simply that We've got David Warner as a lock-in as the opening partner. Chris Gayle has 2 votes and Rohit Sharma has 2 votes. Virat Kohli just has the 1. So big story for starting up is Kohli does not make the incredible team. Now to decide between Chris Gayle and Rohit Sharma, I'm going to leave it to my friends in the media. So those of you that are in favor of Chris Gayle partnering David Warner, if you could raise your hands and we'll do a count. Okay, just the 2. Those for Rohit Sharma, please. And it looks like there are those that are abstaining their votes as well. All right. Rohit Sharma gets more votes over here. So we do have quite an interesting result in our incredible team for openers. It's going to be David Warner as well as Rohit Sharma. All right, so our openers leave us with a big story already, and this can happen when you pick a team with so many great players. There is no Virat Kohli so far. Can he find room at 3 though? Matthew Hayden pointed out it's an even split between him opening and batting at 3, but Suresh Raina, for a large part of the IPL, was perhaps a player in his own league. So that's the question. I guess it comes down to Kohli versus Raina for your number 3. Wasim Akram, let's start with you.
Rana's numbers I've been looking at, he's the most successful middle order batter in IPL history. He's got the most runs in playoffs, and he was a gun fielder. But and a left-hander, obviously. But if I have to pick number 3, for me, it's got to be Virat Kohli. Otherwise, I think number 4, number 5 is a bit too late for him. Although Raina can bat at 4 and 5 because he can end up a finisher for you as well. And as you know, in this day and age, T20 format, finisher is also very, very important. So I'll pick up Virat Kohli at number 3, and of course one of the top fielders in world cricket as well. That's also, fielding is very important to me. I come from a country where we struggle as fielders.
All right, Dale Staines bowled to both. It looks like a Kohli versus Raina debate for number 3. Dale.
Yeah, I've got Virat down as number 3. I think obviously he's somebody who could have opened the batting, but I just wanted those other 2 to open the batting, and Virat's been someone who's scored a huge amount of runs. He's led the team. I also feel the weight of expectation that comes on his shoulders through just from his fan base, just through that pressure alone, and the amount of runs that he's scored is massive. So for him to still continue doing that is fairly impressive. So although he hasn't won an IPL before, I still feel the runs that he's scored is huge, just in terms of who he is. A similar kind of man to Tendulkar. So I've got Virat at 3, and then I've got someone like Raina, just maybe a little bit later down the order, but we'll get there later.
Okay, interesting. Again, if you want to keep him as part of the overall squad, but Tom Moody, it's important to remind viewers who might have just watched it in the last, say, 3 or 4 years, what Suresh Raina was at the time when the IPL exploded, and he did for CSK with it as well. So where do you stand on Raina?
Oh, for me, he's not a number 3, but he's definitely in my top 6. He is one of the most dynamic left-handers the IPL has seen over its duration. A superb player of spin. One of the real headaches for any team, particularly batting in India, is the phase between over 7 to 14, where it's spin dominated, and Suresh Raina is one of the best players of spin, and having that left-hander in your middle order is absolutely crucial. Not only could he rotate the strikes seamlessly, but he had the big game as well. If he needed to put one back into the stands, he could do that comfortably. So for me, he's definitely in my playing 11, but not at number 3.
Okay, so is your 3 Kohli then, Tom, as well, or do you have somebody else at 3?
Yeah, well, I had Kohli opening, but I'm now going as a team man with this panel, and I've moved Virat Kohli before I storm out of the team selection room. I've got Kohli at 3 for all the reasons that have already been stated.
Okay then, now we've got 3 votes then for Virat Kohli. But Matthew Hayden, I'll let you weigh in as well. We already seem to have a consensus, but you've played in a team which had Suresh Raina batting at 3. Are you happy that through the chat that you led, Kohli now finds his place at number 3?
Yeah, Tom, team man, good man. We'll see at the end of this selection process whether you're still in the room or not. It's difficult because Chinnathala obviously, was a huge backbone of the conception of IPL cricket and specifically Chennai Super Kings as a colleague and dear friend. But it's a choice between the greatest Indian batter of all time versus one of the greatest IPL players, and that's what we're deciding. For mine, though, what I really love about Virat Kohli is his ability to chase down runs. Sooner rather than later, you're going to get into a position where you're going to have to get into a big run chase, or just a run chase in general. It doesn't always have to be, 190, 200 plus. It can be those tricky games, as we know, on difficult conditions, getting 140, 150. And he, along with Kane Williamson, has got the best computer brains in the business to be able to manufacture those kind of wins. He is a dynamic player in the field. He's an iconic player in terms of marketing and promotion, which I'm also, introduced a little earlier, but I want to announce that again. It's about making money, and he is a money-making machine for these franchises, and he's also the greatest player. So number 3 for me is you just lock him in.
Yeah, see, this is why I like Matthew Hayden. He thinks about all the factors that you need to make a successful team, right? And that's what we're trying to do today. Now, it's not only these 4 fine gents, as well as journalists in attendance with us. We actually threw this question to a much wider audience as well. You, the fans, lakhs and lakhs of fans voted in our polls. So too did as many as 70 journalists and a number of other former players from around the world. So let's just look at what the top order came out to be there and see if it is in sync with what our panel has picked over here. So let's just have a quick look. Now, this is the journalists team as far as the top order goes, and that featured David Warner, Virat Kohli and Suresh Raina. So we've got Kohli and Warner there, but Rohit Sharma has come in. That was the journalists team. Let's have a look at the fans team now. Lakhs of you voted on our poll, and that was Virat Kohli, Chris Gayle and Suresh Raina. All right. No David Warner there, no Rohit Sharma there. And if you look at the assortment of former players and other experts that also voted in, that was Virat Kohli, Chris Gayle and Suresh Raina. So the one common name in that was actually Suresh Raina in the top 3. We've heard from our team, which has said it could possibly go later than the top 3 too. But again, let me welcome back our friends from the media who are with us today and see if there are any questions. That's how the team's shaping up, guys. We've got Warner and Rohit, and we've got Kohli at 3, and you've heard the points of Raina. He may or may not feature in this team going forward. Questions for our panel?
I just wanted to understand the points from Mr. Moody. Would you try to put in a left-hander at the number 3 position, or do you feel that a player like Virat Kohli, who brings in actually the chase mastership, will definitely fit in at the number 3? What's your take?
Well, I think it depends on the time of the first wicket falling and who that is. There's occasions where you want to have a left-hander out in the middle on a regular basis, but purely as a match-up against left-arm spin or leg spin. So you might find a situation if Warner and Rohit Sharma get off to a good start, the first wicket to fall is David Warner, you might promote someone like Raina up ahead of Virat Kohli purely because you want that better match-up against the left arm spin or the right arm wrist spin. So I think that's where the flexibility of the game has changed over recent years. It's being open-minded for players, knowing that your number is listed as number 3, but you might find yourself coming in at 4 or 5.
All right, I'm going to move on, and I know there are more questions, but maybe if we hear the rest of our batting order, we'll be able to ask those questions even more sharply, because good luck everybody. Number 4, now that you've picked your top 3 and Suresh Raina's not it, Suresh Raina is still very much in contention for number 4. He's competing with AB de Villiers and Surya Kumar Yadav. Dale Steyn, why don't you start this off?
Oh my gosh. I don't think it's fair that I started off because I've already got my 2 openers. So
No, it's an easy one because you're the one who's bowled to all 3. So I'm asking you, who would you rather not bowl to, and you just make it. It's an easy call, Dale. Come on, Raina, De Villiers.
Yeah, no. I think if we're picking the incredible and greatest IPL team to ever stand, I think you've got to also look at longevity and AB de Villiers is somebody who is around for a very long time. I think he set the tone in the sense of the way that players like to bat. If you look at Sky, Sky will tell you that he modelled himself on AB de Villiers. So if I'm picking one of the two guys, I'm going to have to pick the guy that Sky modelled himself on. I had nightmares bowling to this man himself. He was in my team with South Africa, and many other players had sleepless nights. I think he changes the way that teams operate too. Who to bowl when, like when is he coming in? Do I bowl my quicks now? Do I save my quicks now? He really makes captains adjust the way that they're going to kind of go about the game. And I think AB is also the kind of player that before he even faces a ball, he tends to have 10 to 12 runs on the scoreboard already, just through fear factor. Bowlers tend to bowl him a half volley because they're scared of what he might do. And he gets away with that. So, you know, after all this talking, yes, I'm going with AB de Villiers as my number 4.
Okay, now you can throw in any more names that I haven't mentioned as well, but I'd like to go to the bowlers for this. This is such an important role in T20 cricket, Wasim. You've heard the names, you can add someone else, but where do you stand on number 4?
Look, all the options I have, AB, Dhoni, Surya, Yusuf, and of course Suresh Raina, because I didn't pick him at number 3, but at number 4 it's got to be the best ever. Modern grade, 360 degrees, and I agree with Dale that guy has kind of a charisma when he comes on the field as a batter, as a bowler. I'll be worried sick all the time. Where to bowl at him? What sort of field should I have? It's got to be AB de Villiers. I mean, he's the best number 4 batter probably ever produced in this format in the history of the game.
Okay, so I've got 2 votes for AB de Villiers. This is where Suresh Raina might not make the 11. He might still make the squad. So let me go to Matthew Hayden. Otherwise, by the time I'm going to him, it seems like the deal is sealed. So Haydos, this is your moment here now. If you vote for de Villiers as well, then Raina wouldn't make this 11, you'd think, unless you still have room for him after. Give me your pick.
Yeah, I'm going to go ABD. I mean, initially what I did was I had him in my 15, you know, so that's why I had Chris Gale, which didn't present a problem in terms of the overseas player. So you're either going to have him, you know, right up front as the cannon, so to speak, before the infantry came in and explored options as the cannonball wrecked the opposition. But the reality is ABD, now that we've decided as a panel, you know, to lock in these top 4, he has to be there. Simple as that. Dynamic in the field and incredible, as Dale just mentioned there. He was an innovator ahead of his time. He's now led the charge in terms of how it is that the modern day player even conceives some of the ridiculous shots that they play off the great bowlers that are next to us here. You know, the reverse laps, the running between the wicket, equally as important. Waz, you know, in amongst cricket where you're from, is running between the wickets and fielding. He ticks those boxes better than anyone. In fact, he runs as good as someone like Virat Kohli. So for me, number 4, ABD, lock him in.
All right, Tom, I'm sure in your long coaching career, it's been really difficult to hear the words, you have no choice, but you have to take AB de Villiers at number 4 in your team.
I'm absolutely shattered. he walks into my side at number 4. Well, you can cartwheel into my side at number 4 if he likes.
All right, now if we move to number 5, this is where we enter all-rounder territory, we enter wicket-keeper territory. So let's carry on with you, Tom Moody. You mentioned the names that are likely to miss out now. You've got AB as a shoe-in at 4. Very few of us will have an argument with that. But now we go to number 5. So why don't you give me your pick, and maybe there'll be a long debate for wicketkeeper. I don't know. I don't expect it to go on very long, but who knows? Y'all are surprising me already. Tom.
Well, my number 5 isn't my keeper. My number 5 is going to be Suresh Raina. And he has just knocked out Surya Kumar Yadav, purely on the basis that the longevity he's had over the 16 years and the dominance that he had. His ability as a left-hander in the middle overs is going to be key to the balance of my side, particularly with 2 right-handers at 3 and 4. So I'm looking at the bigger picture of the team. He also is a gun fielder and can bowl some spin if required, which he did for Chennai Super Kings over the years. So at 5 for me, I need the left-hander, and I need a guy that was so dominant for many, many years and a championship-winning player in Suresh Raina.
Very strong argument, and he's even given us who he has to keep out of the team then, Tom Moody. So Wasim Akram, number 5 for you?
Yeah, I think I agree with Tom. I was thinking on the same lines as Suresh Raina will be my number five. The experience, the gun fielder, part-time bowler, and most importantly for me, left-hander in the middle order after two right-handers at three and four. And and if the spinners are playing bowling at him, especially the right-arm leg spinner and the left-arm spinner, he'll be lethal batting at number five. So I'll go for Suresh Rana myself too.
Two votes then for Chinnathala. It looks like he's almost set to make the incredible team. If Dale Steyn can confirm him, pressure on you, Dale. But are you happy with Ryan at 5 or someone else?
No, I've got Reina at 5 too, and I think he goes hand in hand with who my wicketkeeper is going to be, and I'm sure everyone will have the same wicketkeeper. Again, a guy just like Mood said, and everybody has already mentioned, left-hander in the middle order, can bowl, and has won many IPLs with Chennai. So again, I'm basing my team based on guys that have been able to get over the biggest hurdle, that is win an IPL contest. I've been to the IPL many times, never won it. So, do I make this team? No, I definitely don't. Suresh Raina, he definitely does.
Okay, I hope you guys are not agreeing just because you know you need to head home in some time, but I like the arguments you're making. Matthew Hayden, final call with you. Raina's already got 3 votes he's in. He's been a teammate of yours. Happy with that?
No, I disagree. He's played 5 innings at number 5, 171 innings he's played at number 3. So he's done the majority of his great work batting at that position. I have the great MS Dhoni batting 5, which is where he has just destroyed opposition sides over the years. He's got 17% of Chennai's runs batting at number 5. And for me, it was a bit of a line ball between him and Hardik Pandya, because now that we've picked ABD as well, we've got our reserve wicket keeper should anything go wrong. And for me, Hardik Pandya probably doesn't suit number 5. So he's done the majority of his batting. We were challenged 2 seasons ago whether he'd go well, batting 4 for Gujarat Titans. And he ticked that box beautifully, but the majority of his batting in the IPL has been done at number 6. So MS Dhoni, the destroyer, let's waste no time and lock him at number 5. I know I'm going to lose this argument just because of the weight of numbers, but I thought I'd throw the cat amongst the pigeons.
Now hold your ground, man. Just hold your ground. That's perfectly valid. MS Dhoni is your man at 5. Now we are going to have a wicketkeeper chat. All of you need to pick it, unless you're saying De Villiers is a viable keeping option, which it didn't quite work out over the long period in the IPL. Now MS Dhoni, I don't think anyone can make too strong a case to have him in the team. Should we just move on and pick the rest of the categories? Anyone?
I think so.
Everyone happy with MS?
Yeah, everyone's, surely.
The easiest decision that ever had to be made on this show. But let's go to our panel of journalists once more. You've heard the arguments, guys. We've heard the arguments for AB de Villiers, who's walked in. Suresh Raina, after that, at a position that Haydos has opined that he thinks he should have batted higher. But there is also no doubt on MS Dhoni. Questions after our middle order selections?
Just looking at how this middle order stacks up, don't you bat Raina at number 4 to very well suited, and then AB de Villiers, who can finish the innings, can bat lower down the order, because you're playing Raina really out of position at number 5.
Okay, I think that's a question for the coach. Tom?
No, you can change. Obviously, depends. Sorry.
Yeah, Wasim, I'll get you
carry
as well.
on.
Sorry,
You're right.
please. Yeah.
You let my assistant coach speak. Look, to answer your question, as I've mentioned previously, this middle order needs to be flexible. There may be an occasion where you do need a left-hander to maybe bat even 3. So Virat Kohli might not even bat 3. So I don't think this is an absolute lock as a number 5 position, and I totally get Matthew Hayden's argument about where Suresh Raina has scored all his runs. But at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is pick what we feel is the best players that are capable in a top 6 to be able to, demoralise an opposition side. And I think there's got to be flexibility in any T20 batting order, and also from a bowling perspective. There's sometimes that you bowl in the power play, and there's sometimes that you don't. And likewise at the death overs. So you need to have that flexibility and that mindset into your approach.
Yes, Wasim.
Yeah, I was exactly saying the same thing, that in T20 cricket, middle order batting especially is flexible. and should be flexible. If there's a spinner zone, left arm spinner on, the right arm leg spinner on, you can put Raina in 10-3. So AB can come as a finisher if Raina gets in at number 3 and 4. That's T20 cricket is all about. Batting order is never consistent. Okay, like Test cricket or one day. So T20 cricket, this partnership is going. 12 overs are gone, and a couple of spinners are there, and then Raina can always come in and go and bat at number 4 or even at number 3.
All right.
I think the great part about this selection panel is, though, that we've got a blend of players that are either retired, and the majority that we've got, on our radar are still currently playing. So those players that are currently playing can actually change, their own destinies by changing their position. Someone like Shane Watson was a great example of that. Had most of his success, even though he was an all-rounder, batting at the top. Suresh Raina can't add another run to the tally for CSK or any other franchise because he's retired. And in 4, to answer the journo's question, in 4 he had 23 innings and he had a strike rate of 126 and he got 500 runs compared to the sample of almost 5,000 runs batting 3. So it's difficult to judge, is he flexible? Of course he is, but they're the numbers, they're the facts, we can't change them, and his position was really number 3.
All right, well, it's not just these fine gentlemen that have been picking. This is the incredible team. We opened the poll up, we opened the question up to journalists from around the world, as well as lakhs and lakhs of fans. So let's just have a look at what the results were. We also asked a number of former players in addition to the 4 that I have next to me. And now that team looked slightly different. At 4 and 5, there was a unanimous response to the poll when it came to AB de Villiers and MS Dhoni as a keeper. Now we've included Suresh Raina here, so our team's going to number 6. And what does that affect? How many all-rounders you can have. So unanimous otherwise, AB and MS Dhoni from the journalists, the fans, as well as the former players from around the world. Right, let's move on to our team, guys. Now we move to all-rounder territory. Let's have a look at those in contention. Hardik Pandya's there without much of a surprise. Ravindra Jadeja, and the 2 overseas options that have made it as per our criteria are Shane Watson and Kieron Pollard. There is a rather obvious big name missing, but let's see if some of you pop up with that. Wasim, let me start with you. All-rounders for you.
Yeah, you talk about big name, you have a certain criteria, but I'll go with this guy's record in a general as an all-rounder. He's not in the 4 you guys gave us, Watson, Pollard, Jadeja and Hardik. I'm talking about the big Dre Russell. I mean, the way he bats, the way he comes in, he also bowls quick as well, 135 to 140 kilometers an hour. He's a superb fielder. I mean, he's not in the squad. Do I have to pick out of these 4, or I can
No, it's
just
fine,
go for
Wasim.
my own as well as...
I'm happy with you voting for Andre Russell. Perfectly okay. What I'd like for you to also tell me is if he's the only player, only all-rounder in that team, or do you have room for one more? But you can definitely pick Russell. He does make the criteria.
Yeah, I think I'll pick Russell because he's just a game changer. Okay, Jadeja, you can have a spin option, gun fielder. He can bat well, in the number 6, number 7. But you need a guy at number 7 who can hit big and regular basis. And for me, I've seen Andre Russell for last 6, 7, 8 years. He still is, unbelievable player at number 7. He hits you. He takes the game away from you, matter of 2 to 3 overs. That's how dangerous he is as a player.
Absolutely, and he's still not done. So we've got to vote for Andre Russell. Perfectly good. Dale Steyn, do you also have Russell in your team, and I also want to know how many all-rounders you'd like to pick. You can pick even 2 if you'd like.
Yeah, I've got 2 all-rounders, and I'd suppose it would be up for debate if we were in a selection panel as to where these 2 would bat 7 and 8. But I've got both Russell and Jadeja, both there. Jadeja again part of that Chennai group that's just won many an IPL. He's left-hander, he's dynamic, you can kind of bat him anywhere in the order that you want, and then with his left arm spin and his fielding, he's an incredible player. And then from my all-rounder point of view, Andre Russell makes my team. From a power hitter, he's amazing, clears the ropes at ease, great fielder, but then he also comes in and he tips somebody else who's an all-rounder, who could have made this team just because Andre at his prime, and when he's fit, he can bowl at 145 k's an hour. So he comes in as my third seamer that bowls at 145. So I've got those two guys. Where they bat is up for debate.
Sure.
7
Russell
and
and Jadeja. So that's 2 votes for Andre Russell. Tom Moody.
I've gone slightly different direction purely because I don't want to use one of my overseas positions for this, just purely because of the balance of the side. I still want to have room for an overseas fast bowler and an overseas spinner that make my best 11. So I'm going with Hardik Pandya on the basis that he can play as a finisher. He learnt that craft under the guidance of Pollard at MI for many years. He then took on his took his journey to a different direction at Gujarat Titans and batted further up the order. But to me, he is a boundary hitter, can bat 7, and he also gives you those valuable overs at a good pace.
Okay, very, very rational argument there because we still have bowlers to pick. Matthew Hayden?
Yeah, same argument as Tom Moody. I don't want to waste, if there's such a thing when you're picking greats, an opportunity for Indian talent over an overseas talent. So Hardik Pandya walks into my greatest 11 side for sure. Same reasons that Tom expressed. You could argue also I've got 2 all-rounders in my team, so I'm also going to pick Jadeja as well. I want a left-arm option, a great fielder, which Hardik is as well. So Hardik at this stage is my choice.
And Tom, just remind me, you've picked just Hardik or have you picked Hardik and Jadeja?
Jadeja is in my 15, but he's not in my 11.
All right, so that takes us to 2 votes for Jadeja from Dale Steyn and Matthew Hayden, 2 for Andre Russell from Wasim Akram and Dale Steyn, and 2 for Hardik Pandya from Tom Moody and Matthew Hayden. Wow, this is fun. Anybody who'd like to quickly revisit at all, or I'm going to throw it open to our panel of journalists. Can we at least come to a
consensus? Can I say at this stage that I'd like to have a reserve on both of these players?
Sorry, Edos, say that again, please.
If we're going to pick one, sorry, mate. If we're going to pick one at this stage, I really want a reserve card here to pick, either one of them. So.
Okay, can we at least get a consensus on how many all-rounders you think should be in your playing 11? Wasim, how many? Would you want 1? Would you want 2?
I'll have 2 all-rounders. My number 8 would be definitely Jadeja. I'm all for mystery spinners. I understand overseas bowlers are mystery spinners, but sometimes these spinners are good enough to be the second my spinner. But I'll pick Jadeja as number 8.
All right, so that means I think by that we've then got room for Ravindra Jadeja in this team and a split between Andre Russell and Hardik Pandya. So I guess that's where we stay locked. Think Jadeja. Tom, I think you could work with that. He may not be in the 11, but he is in your 15 anyway. So I guess as a squad player, Jadeja comes in. What we need for clarity, I'm told, is whether you want 1 all-rounder in the 11 or 2 in the 11. So Wasim says 2. Dale, 1 or 2?
2.
2. That's 2. Tom?
1 for me.
1. And Haydos?
No, I want 2.
Okay. So
And
now that we've established that we are going to have 2 in the 11, so Ravindra Jadeja makes it in as per the votes that we've just heard. And now it goes down to Hardik Pandya versus Andre Russell. So as I welcome back those that have been listening patiently, waiting to send their questions. First up, we need to get a vote from you guys, Hardik or Russell. So those in favor of Hardik Pandya, and you've heard the arguments, it's another overseas slot. So Hardik Pandya, thumbs up please. Just keep that up so we get a count. And those for Andre Russell please. Those for Andre Russell. All right, so I think that decides it for us. Thank you very much. So that is Hardik Pandya and Ravindra Jadeja who make it into our incredible team as all-rounders. Let's just quickly have a look at how that 11 is shaping up, and we've only got a few more slots to fill. Warner and Rohit got the nod at the top, Kohli at 3, De Villiers at 4, Raina and MS in the middle order, Hardik Pandya and Jadeja after our panel decided that they want 2 all-rounders. So there's only room for 3 now, and we're going to have some fast bowling in it. All right, so both Hardik Pandya and Ravindra Jadeja as per our incredible panel of selectors. Let's just see how that stacks up in the other teams that we had asked. Now, we had asked a panel of journalists from around the globe, over 70 of them, as well as our panel of Star Sports experts as well. And as far as the all-rounders go, Hardik Pandya and Ravindra Jadeja were in both those teams. So consistency there, Pandya, Jadeja in the team picked by the Star Sports panel of experts, as well as over 70 journalists. However, when it came to asking the fans, they thought differently. You think the two Indian all-rounders might make it there? But the fans team, voted for by over 1.6 million fans across our platforms, has preferred Shane Watson in the playing 11 along with Ravindra Jadeja. Let's have a look at our contenders as far as the fast bowlers go. Jasprit Bumrah, Lasith Malinga, Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, Dwayne Bravo. These are proper IPL greats. And as far as the spinners go, Rashid Khan, Yuzvendra Chahal and Sunil Narayan and R. Ashwin as well. So this is not easy. Wasim, you got 3 slots. What's going to be the balance? How many quicks? How many spinners? How are you going to fill that up?
Yes, I'll definitely go with 2 more quicks. And of course, extra spinner. You do need 2 spinners, although we have Raina in the squad who can give you a couple of overs if the left-handers are there in the middle order. I'll go for as fast bowler concerned. I'll go for one of the greats in this format of one-day cricket, Malinga, and then of course Jasprit Bumrah. I mean, he's the #1 bowler in world cricket right now. Very difficult, different action altogether, and I think that's what T20 cricket requires: somebody with an odd action. And both of these players, they bowled exceptional Yorkers. The best, I think, bowlers who can bowl Yorkers at will, especially in the last 3 to 4 overs. So yeah, these two. And for spinners, ideally, I mean, we only allowed 4 overseas players in the playing 11. And, Rashid is there, Narayan is there, who both have been a match winners, experience. But I'll pick up the leg spinner Chahal. I think I like the way he bowls. He's a
Wasim, I'll just remind you that as our team is shaping up, we've only got Warner and AB de Villiers as the overseas there. So there is room for the overseas spinner should you want to go for either Narayan or Rashid Khan.
Okay, I thought I was thinking about my playing 11, but yeah,
yes.
We had to vote. Yeah, sure. We got Pandya in instead of Russell. So then I'll definitely. I mean, I worked with Sunil Narayan. I love the way he bowls, but I think we talk about present form or last 4-5 years form. It's got to be Rashid Khan, and he can whack. And he's in middle order. I've seen batters struggle, not just in IPL, worldwide. The way he bowls is with quick arm action, the googly, the leg spin, the flipper, and most importantly, the control he bowls with. So my spinner, overseas spinner, would be Rashid.
Yeah, brilliant. See, it opens up for you towards the end. It allowed you to pick both Malinga and Rashid Khan. So you've got a very formidable attack from Wasim Akram. Dale Steyn, give me your balance 3. How many quicks and how many spinners, and which are your final 3?
Yeah, 1 more spinner to come in and then 2 quicks. Originally with Russell, it would have meant that I wouldn't have had space for Rashid Khan, but with Hardik Pandya coming in now, Yuzi Chahal misses out and Rashid Khan slots in there as my spinner. He's been a phenomenal spinner. Somebody just so hard to pick, continues to be somebody who players struggle to pick, and a young guy that's already in World 11s, and I don't even think he's reached 25 years old, so he's still got a long career ahead of him and a wonderful spinner. And then I got space for 2 quicks. Bumrah, an Indian seamer. His action is incredible. It's different. It's weird. He's got great pace and great skill. Won the IPL numerous times before, and then to share that ball with him is going to be one of his old teammates from Mumbai Indians, is Lasith Malinga. What more can be said about this guy? The Yorker King, tons of wickets, takes wickets at the top of the order, can break partnerships in the middle, and then hardly goes for any runs and is able to take wickets at the death. So those would be my final 3.
Okay, so there is harmony between Steyn and Akram with Bumrah and Malinga, the formidable MI bowling pair, and Rashid Khan. There's little argument for him. Tom Moody has worked so much with Rashid Khan. Tom, you wanted that overseas spinner option to be available. That's how you picked your team.
Yeah.
So tell me if you're in agreement with Wasim Odale or any other names there.
I'm in absolute agreement with both the Two quicks on the panel. Bumrah and Malinga are a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned. Damaging in power play overs, damaging at death overs, which is critical in any balanced side. And Rashid Khan, one of many mystery bowlers that have been successful in the IPL, but to me, Rashid Khan just pips Sunil Narine at the post.
Okay, interesting there. So absolute no doubt with when it comes to Bumrah and Malinga. I'm sure he's okay with Malinga and Bumrah, or do you want to bring in a word for your old teammate Dwayne Bravo? Hedos, your final three?
No, I'm very happy with the fast bowling cartel to the right of me here. Those two names in particular are outstanding. You've got to have Bumrah there. You've got to have Lasith Malinga there as well. My only question, because both of those two bowlers are absolutely sublime in the back end of the match, my only question is not having, and this is where the contention comes around my number 5 spot being Raina, I must have Rashid Khan in the team. He is just an absolute certainty, walk up, most economical bowler in the IPL, has been for any number of years, but I've still got an issue with my new ball, because Bumrah and Lasith aren't necessarily the most economical at the top end, or wicket takers for mine either, inside those power play overs where you've got the likes of these great hitters that go to school on your game. You know, so for mine, I'd love to see Bhuvanesh Kumar in there. Prodigious swinger of the new ball, has got control as well. That just as an opening batsman just puts all sorts of doubts in your mind when you're looking to, score 8, 9, 10 runs and over in those power plays. If it's swinging, it makes it hard. That's why Dale Steyn was one of the greats inside those power plays, because he did that. He swung the ball at pace, and so did Bhuvi.
Okay, so that's interesting. So
just
let me come back.
If I could,
yes, Tom, please.
If I could pick up on that, I actually had Bhuvi in my playing 11. Instead of Jadeja. So, Halos, if you're comfortable with that, depending on conditions, depending on who you're playing against, you could easily swivel Bhuvi into that position where Jadeja is, and you've got your 3 quicks with your specialist new ball and Bhuvanesh Kumar, and you've got Jadeja in your 15.
Mate, this is where a great bottle of red and a little trade under the table would serve you well here at this stage, because I am absolutely certain that I would love to have that combination.
Why don't I try and help you guys out, guys? Sorry, let me try and help you guys out, because this team has taken different directions, given the strong views each of you have had, and you can understand why. But this is how it shaped up eventually. We perhaps have gone for the extra bit of batting. I mean, that's a formidable team with Rashid Khan at 9, and your overseas being Warner, De Villiers, Rashid Khan and Lasith Malinga. Can't really argue with that. There is still room. There is still room for 4 more. Now, this is the 11. It may not have been your original individual 11s, but are you all happy with how it's shaping up, or does anybody want to reconsider any of those choices? Wasim, happy with that?
Yeah, I'm happy. I mean, very easy selector. Once I, make a decision, I stick to it.
Dale, happy? Hados?
Yeah, I'm happy, and I can hear the argument with Jadeja and bringing in someone like Bhuvi. It's certainly, like I said at the beginning of the start of the conversation, I said I was looking forward to the fast bowlers, because we've got some great names and a bunch of guys that are going to miss out, but we've also got those extra impact players where we can slot in guys where guys can get replaced, so they might find their names in those spaces there.
So our incredible team of selectors go for the extra all-rounder in their 11, which means just room for 3 specialist bowlers, if you want to call them that, Bumrah and Malinga, along with Rashid Khan. Now, how does that stack up with the other teams that we'd also asked for? Our Star Sports panel of experts voted for their incredible team, and there is a consistency to a degree there. You are going to see Bumrah and Malinga along with Rashid Khan. They went for Yuzvendra Chahal additionally, and 1 all-rounder lighter. That was from the Star Sports panel of experts, and over 70 journalists also had their say from across the world, and in that team it's a similar balance as well. You have Yuzvendra Chahal and Rashid Khan both, along with Bumrah and Malinga. Now, this is what the panel of experts and the panel of journalists picked, but the fans once again have surprised us when we saw over 1.6 million of you went for. It's an all-Indian contingent. It is 4 bowlers, 1 all-rounder less, but you've got Yuzvendra Chahal and R. Ashwin, the spin duo, along with Bhuvi and Bumrah as the all-Indian outright pace attack. So Wasim, I'm just going to ask you the 4 impact players now. Looking at the bases that you still want covered, we can go up to 2 overseas in the 15. So you mentioned someone like Andre Russell, there was Chris Gale who was reserved, Kyron Pollard, and there were some of the Indian players as well, Surya Kumar Yadav, Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, Chahal. So Wasim, how would you like to fill those 4 impact players up?
4 impact players, I'll definitely go for Andre Russell, impact players, because or even somebody gets injured eventually. If it's, IPL is a long tournament, it's a 2-month long tournament, 12 games or something like this. So yeah, I'll pick Andre Russell as an overseas player. And another one, I think Hardik and Jadeja are already in the squad. And I'd like to have another spinner in the impact player zone. Yeah, I'll go for, I have options of Gale and of course, and if Rashid gets injured, one of my spinners, I'll be needing an overseas spinners. So I'll go for Sunil Narayan there as well. Although I really have to push him hard to just show a bit more enthusiasm when he's playing. In general.
So Russell,
So 2
Narayan,
overseas players would, and Russell and Narayan. And then, of course, I need an extra fast bowler. I'll have Bhuvi in there too. I like Surya Kumar Yadav. I think he's another game changer player. Again, another after AB de Villiers, have seen someone to play 360 degrees. That's Surya Kumar Yadav. And I think bowlers are kind of on a back foot to have a go at him. So yeah, I'll pick Surya Kumar Yadav as my 4th one.
All right, interesting. So you got Russell, Narayan, Surya and Bhuvi. Tom, you mentioned that you wanted to look at the squad as a whole. Some of your preferred 11 might end up finding room there. Give me your 4.
My 4 is Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, who will swivel with Jadeja, depending on the balance of the side and depending on where you're playing. My other one is Chris Gale, who was not in the playing 11. And the other one, I'm deciding between Buttler and Russell. The reason I'm not going to go for Buttler is purely because AB de Villiers can fill that void as a reserve keeper. So I'm going with Andre Russell, and I'm going with Chahal as my backup spinner. So if I don't want to play Rashid Khan, I can play Chahal and play someone like Andre Russell as an impact all-rounder, just to strengthen that middle order.
Okay, this is fun because there is room now. Andre Russell and Bhuvaneshwar Kumar have both picked up a vote apiece on the impact bench from Wasim and Tom. Haydos, your turn.
Yeah, I'm going to go exactly as Tom Moody said. Bhuvanesh Kumar has got to be there with that new ball, as I mentioned before. Chris Gale, the greatest player in the IPL. I think he just walks into the 11. He should be there. Dre Russell is a versatile all-rounding option, in case, when you go through a season, you always get, injury concerns in and amongst the all-rounders. I did have Shane Watson paralleled with Dre Russell, but I can only choose one overseas player at this stage. So I'm going to go the popular vote here with Dre Russ. And then I want another spinner as well. Most of these conditions that you get through, especially as a tournament wears on, you need to have, another great leg spinning option. They've come into their own leg spinners. We all thought that they were going to be a dying breed, but heck, haven't they shown absolutely the polar opposite? The variation through the air, off the wickets, the wrong-uns. Chahal doesn't have a great wrong-un, but still, and that opens up the question marks around the left-handers, but I want him in the team as that impact spinner.
Okay, so from the 3 of you, Andre Russell and Bhuvaneshwar Kumar have secured enough votes to feature on that bench. Dale Steyn, final word with you. Let's see how many more we can fill up.
Yeah, I originally also had Watson down. I just think that somebody who's won IPL a few times, he's a versatile player. He can bat anywhere from opening the batting. He's gone all the way down to 6. He can bowl, so he fits that all-rounder kind of role. But if you want my final names, I've got to go with Chahal as an Indian leg spinner, just in case something happens there. I think Andre Russell is just such a dynamic player. If the game does get shortened to a 5 or 6 over game or whatever it is, he's probably one of the guys that you're going to put your name up to, probably bowl and bat. So I'd have him there. And then, yeah, we've spoken about Bhuvi, but I'll throw another name into the hat here. Mohammed Shami is somebody who's just got just a little bit more pace than Bhuvi and's really been phenomenal of late. But I work closely with Bhuvi at the Sunrisers, so my bias is going to go with Bhuvaneshwar Kumar. Yeah. So I'd go with Chahal, Russell, Bhuvi, and there was one more, and I can't remember who it is right now.
Gale?
You wanted Watson. I guess you still have room for that extra overseas. So it's either Watson.
I did want Watson, but I'm going all the way to the beginning with Haydos, where he said, "Can we park Chris Gale?" And I'd park Chris Gale from just the point that he's been such a great player. I need him in my 15.
All right.
16.
So I guess that basically with the majority, that secures Bhuvaneshwar Kumar on that bench, Andre Russell, as well as Chris Gale, and that locks up all the overseas spots. So an honourable mention to the likes of Shane Watson and Josh Butler, as Tom Moody mentions, but you can't just ignore what Chris Gale, Andre Russell, I guess, have done, and you have Bhuvaneshwar Kumar there. The fourth spot, I think, is still up for grabs, whether it is a reserve batter in Surya Kumar Yadav, a reserve spinner in Yuzvendra Chahal, and we also heard Sunil Narayan's name, but now, unfortunately, it'll be tough to get him with the criteria we've established. Chahal then, Wasim, or is everyone happy with Chahal?
Yeah. I like Chahal. Like I said, I mentioned his name earlier, and that's also kind of a change in my mind while the boys were discussing.
Sure.
That for a leg spinner, you do need a leg spinner to come in, and of course, then Andre Russell can come in the side as well if you have to. Depends on the conditions. So I like the way he bowls. I like the control he's got, and he's a wicket-taking option as well in the middle. So Chahal I'll go for him as well.
All right, so I guess that sorts it out then, guys. No problems. Chahal to fill up that final spot. Dale, Tom, Haydos, yes? Okay. So we have an incredible team. It took some work. It wasn't easy, but let's just have a look at what it looks like right now. David Warner and Rohit Sharma at the top of the order. Virat Kohli, AB de Villiers, Suresh Raina, MS Dhoni. I think Dhoni leads the race, perhaps, to be captain. Hardik Pandya, Ravindra Jadeja, Rashid Khan, Jasprit Bumrah, Lasith Malinga. And our impact bench is a pretty impactful one. Andre Russell and Chris Gale. Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, Yuzvendra Chahal. We're going to fill up that 16th spot in just a moment. Well, that was what our selection panel came up with after a lot of back and forth. It wasn't easy, but we also made their jobs a little easier to a degree. We asked our whole talent of expert panel from across the world to come up with their incredible team. So let's have a look at how that team is and whether any noticeable changes. Now, we had Rohit Sharma with our incredible team with our selectors, but if you look at our Star Sports experts panel voted by them, you've got Kohli and Gale, the RCB pair at the top, Raina at 3, de Villiers, Dhoni, Hardik, Jadeja. So you have some players in common, so too Rashid Khan, but they picked Chahal in their 11 along with Bumrah and Malinga. And the impact players bench sees the likes of Rohit Sharma, Surya Kumar Yadav, Sunil Narayan and Dwayne Bravo. Stephen Fleming remains a constant. So you have Kohli and Gale in that team, not Rohit Sharma and David Warner at the top. Now it looks like the fans had a very different say. Let's have a look at your team, voted for by lakhs and lakhs of fans across our platforms. Now you don't even have Rohit Sharma in the 15. So Kohli and Gale sticks at the top. Suresh Raina, de Villiers, Shane Watson, as we know what he was for Rajasthan as well as CSK towards his latter years, makes the 11. MS Dhoni, Ravindra Jadeja, Yuzvendra Chahal and R. Ashwin along with Bhuvaneshwar Kumar and Jasprit Bumrah. Now that was the result of the voting by over 1.6 million fans. It might have surprised some of you, but we also asked a bunch of astute journalists, over 70 of them from the cricketing fraternity all over the world, to give us their team. Let's see if they thought differently from the fans. Does Rohit make it? Well, he does not. So you saw him in the 11 for the selectors and in the 15 for the experts, not for the fans and not for the 70 journalists that voted as well. Kohli and David Warner, Suresh Raina, AB de Villiers, Dhoni, Pandya, Jadeja, strong Indian contingent, Chahal and Bumrah along with Rashid and Malinga. And the impact players include Chris Gale, Surya Kumar Yadav, Pollard and Narayan. But let me just once again go to our friends from the media who've been listening ever so patiently. Questions, guys, as we've filled up the 15 at least for now.
I just have a question for Wasim. Just about Chahal in the playing 11. He is the leading wicket taker in the IPL. An Indian spinner gives you that flexibility as well. Don't you think adding him to the 11 would make things a little easier?
If you, I understand. He was my first choice to playing in playing 11, and then if you compare him with Rashid Khan, Rashid Khan gives you a lot more as a bowler. As apart from being a brilliant bowler and more economical bowler, he's a gun fielder. I'm very, a kind of fielding is right up there for me in T20 format. And of course, he can whack at bat at number 8, number 9 if he comes out to bat. But Chahal is in the, in the squad, and if need to be, he can be come into playing 11. But Rashid, for me, is a better option going into playing 11 to start off.
All right. Any more questions, guys? Very quickly. You can take one more.
I wonder if we are a bit timid with our batting selection in terms of accommodating players than going for the bolder options, reflecting upon what we've got so far.
I love bold, simple as that, and I like big, and that's why I've gone big with Chris Gale right up front. That was the argument that I was, trying to mount a compelling case to our other great experts here. And for mine, the numbers are the numbers. You've got, this tricky balance that you've got to have. You can only have 4 overseas players. This team, I'm sure, would look slightly different if you could fill it with just the best players within the squad and within the history of the IPL. No other mandate other than that. But we've stuck within the parameters of the IPL conditions, playing conditions and regulations, and that's a good thing. But for mine, Chris Gale has to be in the playing 11. He's not just, part of a 15 squad. He has to be there. He's mounted that case, over the course of history in this tournament. Who didn't want to be the universe boss? That's the reality of it. He started this tournament and he finished it strong right the way through. At least he's got 600s. Only Virat Kohli himself has got more hundreds. And a strike rate of, well over someone like Davey Warner, who's brilliant at 140, but Chris Gale's 150. I mean, he just takes this game to the next level.
All right. Thanks, guys. Now, we've got perhaps one of the biggest debates in T20 cricket to finally close this out. Who will captain this team? Now that there is room in the incredible team for both Rohit Sharma and MS Dhoni, let's add to that, there's Hardik Pandya there as well. And David Warner. So we've got 4 IPL winning captains. Realistically, I sense this is going to be Rohit versus Dhoni. Who knows, maybe even Hardik. But let's find out who captains this team. Wasim Akram.
You don't have to be an ex-cricketer or, a cricket pundit or a rocket scientist to pick a captain of this squad. I think for me, it's got to be MS Dhoni. One of the best captains I've seen in the last 20 years. I mean, he leads from the front, he's easy going behind the stumps, he's calm, he's collective, and one of the best finishers game I've seen. Dhoni is my vote.
All right, short and sweet and very persuasive, Dale Steyn.
Yeah, same name, MS Dhoni. He's won everything, World Cup, IPLs, ICC Champs trophies, and I think he's a leader of men, and you've got a bunch of men here that are all at the highest level of their game, and they need someone who's been there, done that, and can manage them extremely well on and off the field. And I'd probably go with somebody like MS Dhoni to do that.
Tom.
MS Dhoni for me, and the main reason being that MS Dhoni has won titles with very, very good squads and average squads, and that to me tells a lot about a captain and how he can lead a variety of talent in a squad to success. Rohit Sharma has been a brilliant captain for MI, but I think MI have had arguably the best squads, or up there amongst the best squads in the IPL since inception. So, I'm not saying it's easier, but it's certainly Dhoni has done it at both extremes.
Come on, Hedos, you said you like to be bold. Be the only CSK boy here to say not Dhoni.
Okay, it's an obvious choice. I think it's, it's not even a debate here. It's going to be unanimous amongst, the entire Indian cricket community. Of course, Rohit Sharma, the hitman, he is such an incredible leader as well. So it is a tough, choice. But I'm going to go bold. You asked me to go bold. I'm not going to pick a coach, because MS Dhoni is also my coach. Now, we started in 2008. Shane Warne was captain and coach and took the great franchise of Ipl'S, to a title that particular year. And I just feel that MS Dhoni can also be a coach. I've got a theory that you're half the bus in high performance cultures. You understand that the role of supports play, no disrespect to them, it is very important. But with MS Dhoni, you get both. You get a player manager who can manage both up into the franchises which ask questions, and so they should, their investors, and he also manages down. Because he's just that legacy player, the calm, the cool, the collected individual that MS Dhoni is. And so there's my bold prediction. He's also my coach. Now that'll save you time.
Yeah, you bet. No, that's going to extend time if you know how this is working out now. But I like that. It's very bold. Now let me ask Wasim this. We have this question on a number of our minds. How much longer will we see MS Dhoni as a active player for CSK, Wasim, and will we always just see him in yellow? Will we just see him move from player to coach? Haydos has given us that idea to think about and imagine right now, but what are your thoughts?
To start off with, I don't want my captain to have extra burden and unnecessarily. If I have the budget for a coach, I'll hire a coach. Whoever it may be, I want Dhoni to relax, play his cricket, look after his players on the field. And coming back to the first question, will he carry on after he retires as a coach? I don't think so. MS Dhoni, you never know anything. You can expect anything from him, but I think he's just eventually when he retires from IPL, just going to take a chill pill for about a couple of years, and he'll probably will think what to do next. But coaching, probably he'll be the best coach. He's very calm. That's very important. Coaching at that level to these players, you don't need a coach. You don't need talent technique. The coach's job would be or should be with these bunch, just to organize nets, give them some confidence, and be there for them.
All right, but if we do have to pick a coach,
what you're saying is he needs a mentor. You're saying more mentor
Along
rather
those
than
lines.
coach. Is that the?
Yeah, because as you know, these guys don't need coaching at that level. I mean, what can you tell Chris Gale or AB de Villiers or Virat Kohli or Rohit Sharma? Just some bits and bobs, nice practice, little short team meetings. Don't go overboard with stats. These guys know what they're doing, what they would do. I mean, what option do I have, coach? If I would like to pick a coach, I'll pick Tom Moody. I worked with him. He's very calm. He's organized. He's sorted. Yeah, job done.
I like how that evolved. They don't have to do much, and then he said, "I'll just pick Tom Moody." So Tom Moody, you don't need to do much.
I mean, not much means as
yeah,
far as
no, I know what
coaching
you mean.
concerned.
Absolutely, the mental side of it. Let's look at our contenders. Some IPL winning coaches there. Stephen Fleming's there. Of course, no surprises. Maila Jayawardena with his success at MI. Trevor Bayliss with his success at Kolkata. I remember it's 16 years that we're celebrating since that first auction. We've picked a 15. We're going to close it out with a 16th who would coach that side. Wasim's thrown in Tom Moody's name in that, no problem. He can go out of the box. Tom Moody will be very happy to pick himself, but I know he's a bigger man than that. So, Moods, who are you going with?
To me, the standout is Fleming. And I sort of get the argument that Haydos and Waz are talking about with regards to the coach. But to me, that's why Fleming is such a good coach in that environment, because he is more than happy to play that backseat role and allow Dhoni to do his thing. But there's a lot of things that Dhoni doesn't want to do outside of the game that Fleming just quietly picks up the pieces and allows a smooth operation. One of the best operations over the history of the IPL is Chennai Super Kings, and the reason is the two leaders that they've got in Fleming and Dhoni.
Okay, Dale Steyn?
Yeah, I think with for every Batman there's a Robin, and MS as wonderfully well done as Chennai have done. Fleming has been the man that's been hit by his side for as long as that's been going on. So I like Haydos' thinking that when you've got somebody like MS as your captain, he does kind of take control. He takes control on the field and off the field. I've never been in his camp before, and it's one thing that I wanted to do as a player. I thought if I could sneak my way into a Chennai team, it would be great just to see how he operates. But from everything that I've heard, Stephen Fleming does do his fair share off the field too, to make sure that MS has got control of his team. So Fleming's been there for a long time. Chenna, I've got a great thing going, and obviously MS and Fleming work well together. So I'll go with Stephen Fleming as my coach.
All right, so that settles it. Gentlemen, thank you so much. This was not easy. So many incredible players, so much history to look back upon and celebrate. But it's been a terrific shift put in by Wasim Akram, Dale Steyn, Tom Moody and Matthew Hayden. A big thank you for them for being part of our selection panel here to pick the incredible team. A big thank you to our friends from the media community as well for joining in and helping us out get here. It was not easy, and we can't wait for an exciting couple of months lined up ahead of us with the IPL on Star. We'll see you again soon.
मैच से जुड़े आपके हर सवाल का हम देंगे जवाब। जानने के लिए हर अपडेट, लाइव एनालिसिस, स्पेशल इंटरव्यूज, डाउनलोड कीजिए स्पोर्ट्स तक ऐप।